The first time I saw the masked woman, she was kneeling in the dust of a ruined city, her gloved hands pressed against the cracked stones as if she were listening to the planet's heartbeat. The war had ended 3 days earlier. Smoke still curled from the broken towers of Orinth Prime, capital of the once invincible Varelian Empire. Their fleets had darkened our skies for 7 years. Their war machines had burned oceans into steam, and now their banners lay trampled beneath human boots. I was a field medic in the Terran Expeditionary Forces. My job wasn't to celebrate victory. It was to search for survivors, human or alien, and decide who could still be saved. That was how I found her. She wore a smooth silver mask that covered her entire face, shaped like a tear with narrow slits for eyes. Her armor, though scorched, was ornate, etched with spirals and sigils that shimmered faintly blue. Not standard military issue. Easy, I said, lowering my rifle. The war's over. She didn't look at me. Wars are never over, she replied softly, her voice filtered through the mask. It sounded distant, almost mechanical. Her accent marked her as highborn Varelian. Educated. Refined.
You're injured, I said.
Blood darkened the joint at her shoulder. It is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant to me. For a moment she went still. Then slowly she stood. She was taller than most human women, her posture straight despite the pain she must have been feeling. Even beneath the armor, I could tell she carried herself like someone accustomed to command. I require no assistance from a conqueror, she said. I stepped closer, anyway. Then consider it a gesture from a medic, not a conqueror. She hesitated. That was my opening. Up close, I saw the damage. A plasma shard had pierced her upper torso, the wound partially cauterized but still leaking dark violet blood. You'll bleed out, I said quietly. Let me help. For several seconds, we simply stared at one another, me into the polished mask, her into my uncovered face. I wondered what she saw there. A monster? A victor? Or just a tired man covered in ash? Finally, she gave the smallest nod. I guided her to a broken column and helped her sit. As I worked, cutting away damaged armor and applying a stabilizing gel, I noticed something strange. Her skin. It wasn't the deep indigo common among Varelian soldiers. It was pale, almost luminous silver. You're not frontline, I murmured. Her hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Her grip was weak, but urgent. You will not speculate. I met her gaze, or where I thought her gaze was behind the mask.
Fine.
I won't. I finished sealing the wound and injected a regenerative stimulant. Her breathing steadied. Why the mask? I asked gently. Silence. Then, it is tradition. Looks more like armor for the soul. That earned a faint, humorless exhale. Humans presume much. Occupational hazard. A rumble shook the distant horizon. Our ships repositioning in orbit. The occupation phase had begun. She stiffened. You're afraid, I said. I do not experience fear. Everyone does. She stood abruptly, swaying slightly. If your forces find me, I will be executed. I frowned. You're a wounded soldier. I am more than that. There was something in the way she said it. Not pride. Not arrogance. Burden. Footsteps echoed nearby. Terran patrol. Instinct took over. I grabbed her arm and pulled her behind the fallen column, just as 2 of my fellow medics passed, scanning the rubble. You're risking your standing, she whispered. I'm risking paperwork, I muttered back. When the patrol moved on, she looked at me differently. Not with hostility. With confusion. Why? She asked. I shrugged. Because you're hurt. That is illogical. Get used to it. I led her through back alleys and shattered corridors to an abandoned medical outpost we had set up earlier in the campaign. Most units had already moved forward. It was empty. Inside, beneath flickering lights, I helped her remove the rest of her armor. The sight nearly stole my breath. Her garments beneath were woven from iridescent fabric, delicate and ceremonial. Along her collarbone shimmered a sigil I had seen only in intercepted intelligence briefings. The Imperial crest. I stepped back slowly. "You're not just more than a soldier," I said. "You're—" "Yes," she interrupted quietly. "I am." My mind reeled. The Empress of the Varelian Empire had been rumored to command fleets personally. A faceless sovereign who never appeared without her ceremonial mask. She hid behind a mask, human soldiers had joked, probably to hide her cowardice. But there was no cowardice in her posture now. Only exhaustion. "The Empress," I whispered. She flinched at the title. "The Empire has fallen," she said. "My council is dead. My fleets destroyed. My people scattered." Her voice trembled for the first time. "I came to the capital to witness its end," she continued. "To feel what I have done." "You didn't start the war alone," I said carefully. "I signed the orders." The weight of that seemed to press her smaller, despite her height. I looked at her mask. "Why keep hiding now? There's no court to impress." "It is not for them," she said. Her hands rose slowly to the edges of the mask. "You are the first human to show me mercy," she murmured. "If you wish to see the face of your enemy, I will not deny you." She removed it. I had expected something monstrous. Instead, I saw someone heartbreakingly young. Her features were sharp but delicate, her silver skin unscarred by battle. Faint luminous patterns traced her temples like constellations. Her eyes, large and pale violet, were rimmed with exhaustion. There were no wrinkles of age, no cruelty carved into her expression, only grief. "You are not what I imagined," I said softly. "Disappointment?" she asked bitterly.
No.
I stepped closer without thinking. "Human propaganda painted you as a tyrant drenched in blood," I said. "But you look like someone who hasn't slept in months." Her lips parted slightly, as if she had never heard such words. "You do not recoil," she whispered. "Should I?" "I have ordered the destruction of cities. And I have treated the children pulled from their rubble," I replied. "War makes monsters of us all, but I don't see one standing in front of me." Her composure cracked. For the first time since I met her, her shoulders trembled. "I did what I believed necessary for survival," she said. "Your species was expanding, consuming resources. My advisors said humanity would eventually threaten us. So you struck first." "Yes. And now?" "Now I see only ashes." Her knees buckled. Without hesitation, I caught her. The Empress of a fallen empire collapsed into my arms. She was lighter than I expected, fragile beneath the weight of history. For a moment, she resisted and used to being held. Then, slowly, she relaxed, her forehead resting against my chest. "I have not been touched without fear in many cycles," she confessed. I held her tighter. "You're not my enemy right now," I said. "You're just someone who lost everything." Outside, distant engines roared. Terran Command would soon begin rounding up surviving Varelian leadership. If they found her, she would be tried, possibly executed. "You cannot protect me," she murmured, as if reading my thoughts. "Maybe not forever." She pulled back slightly, searching my face. "Why risk yourself?" she asked again. I considered the question more carefully this time. Because if we respond to the end of war with more cruelty, then what was the point of winning? Silence filled the room. "You would help me escape?" she asked. "Not escape," I corrected. "Surrender properly. Negotiate." Show your people you chose to live. They will see it as weakness, or as the first act of peace. She looked unconvinced. I am the last symbol of their pride, she said. If I kneel before humanity, then kneel as a leader who values her people's future over her ego. The words hung between us. Slowly, something shifted in her expression. Not pride, resolve. You speak as though you understand rule, she said. My planet has made enough mistakes to write volumes about it. A faint smile touched her lips, the first genuine one. Very well, she said at last. If I must face your commanders, I will do so without the mask. I studied her. Are you sure? She looked at the mask in her hand. For my entire reign, I hid behind tradition, she said. Behind ceremony. Behind distance. I believed an empress must be untouchable. Her fingers tightened around the smooth silver surface. But perhaps untouchable is the same as unreachable. She stepped closer to me. You have held me without fear, she said quietly. If I am to rebuild anything from these ruins, it must begin with that. Footsteps echoed again outside, closer this time. I helped her secure a simple cloak over her ceremonial garments. She placed the mask gently on the table. Will you stay? She asked. I'll walk you there. We stepped into the ashen daylight together. Human soldiers turned, weapons lowering in confusion as they saw her uncovered face. Whispers spread rapidly. The Empress.
Alive.
Not towering behind a fleet. Not projected as a holographic deity. Just a woman walking beside a human medic. When we reached the command perimeter, she paused. If your leaders imprison me, she said softly, do not regret this choice. I won't. She studied me for a final moment. Then know this, she said. The empire may have fallen, but hope did not die in these ruins. Her hand brushed mine, brief, deliberate. Then she stepped forward alone. Terran officers approached cautiously, recognition dawning. Weapons were not raised. She knelt, not in humiliation, in intention. I am the Empress of the Varelian people, she declared, her voice steady and unfiltered by the mask. I surrender myself in exchange for the protection of my citizens and the chance to negotiate peace. The wind carried her words across the broken city. I watched as history shifted. She did not look back at me. She did not need to, because in that moment, she was no longer hiding. And though empires had burned and fleets had fallen, something far more powerful had begun in the ashes, a fragile understanding, born not from conquest, but from compassion. And I would never forget the weight of the Empress in my arms. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.